All right, moving on. Here are the top muscle building mistakes. If you want to take people to the gun show, you don't want to make these mistakes, you turkey. All right. These are certainly the top muscle building mistakes I've seen on the regular over the years, and I've kind of read about as well. Now, if you haven't noticed by looking at good old Chuck here, I am not an IFBB pro bodybuilder. I am not 300 pounds of muscle. And there are certainly muscle mass monsters out there, the 3Ms, where if that's your goal, that's cool. That's awesome. To each their own. You got to do you. But that's not me. I've never particularly wanted to be enormous. I just wanted to be able to beat people up easily. I'm just kidding. I don't want to beat anybody up. I'm a lover. But I've always enjoyed putting on muscle and weight training and the process of it. I feel I've seen a lot over the last just about 30 years of training. I know, right? 30 years. That's crazy. I've seen a lot of weight training follies. I've seen a lot of mistakes. A lot of personal trainers who have no idea what the hell they're doing. They're full of stuff. I've seen a lot of lost gains for reasons I'm going to share with you now. Some of these I've also made myself. I am sure of it. So here are the biggest mistakes you hopefully aren't, but you might be making. Number one. The easiest, your diet. This is kind of like the most obvious one. So that's where we'll start, but really think about it. Think about it. Your diet is extraordinarily important, not just to your gaining muscle, but your overall health. What are the pillars of diet to gain muscle? Or at least the ones most everyone can agree on. First, protein. You need to be eating protein. Studies show something like 0.8 to 1.25 grams per pound of body weight. I'm American. I don't do the metric system so easy. I'm a simple kind of guy. But because I'm a simple kind of guy, I tell people to try and get about a gram per pound a day. If you go a little under, that's probably okay. If you're eating a little more than that, I think that's wonderful. It may even help you a little bit more in a fat loss phase where you want to preserve more muscle, all the muscle you can, and the little bit of extra protein may help you stay more satiated too. Cool, I love it. Next up, carbohydrates. I am so pro carb. You'll likely need to be eating them if you want to maximize strength and muscle growth. Here come the paleo keto folks. Carbs are your body's preferred source of fuel, and without fuel, that means your workouts just might suck. If your workouts suck, your results are going to suck. It certainly does suck. Just a trim, okay? Don't buzz me. You want muscles that are filled with glycogen and raring to go. And I like to eat my carbs about an hour before training to get a nice, steady supply of energy. I eat them with protein and a little fat so they don't digest too quickly. It's great for my training. I love it. I don't recommend you eat a low carb diet unless your doctor has reason to recommend it or you just don't enjoy eating carbs. Are there people who don't enjoy eating carbs, Big Al? Or am I just trying to be PC here? You don't want a nice bowl of carbonara? Oh, don't do that. You also want some carbs after your workout as well to replenish the glycogen you just used in your workout. I think in both pre-workout and post-workout, the timing emphasis has been a little overdone over the years. 100%. Like, should I eat my protein 45 or 55 minutes after I train? What if the anabolic window closes? Not the anabolic window again. Relax. It's not the McDonald's drive-thru window before they stop serving breakfast. You're gonna get your hotcakes and hash browns, Charlie. Chill out. That being said, you want to eat protein and carbs both before and after your train. Give yourself a window of about 3 to 4 hours. Put your training smack in the middle. Eat your carbs and protein within that time. You'll be okay. Lastly, calories themselves. If you're not eating enough, you can't gain muscle. You need something to build the muscles with. How do I know if I'm eating enough calories? I don't count them. Well, you might want to consider counting them, but are you getting stronger? Are you gaining weight? How do you look? If your answers are no, no, and the same, then you're not eating enough. There's also a little bit of controversy today around maintenance dieting, body recomp, check out that episode, and building muscle while eating at maintenance calories versus being in a surplus versus even building muscle in a deficit. There's maintaining, gaintaining, there's even tain flaming nowadays. No, I read about the tain flaming on the internet, Al. Why would you say that? I don't sound foolish. Everything posted on the internet is real, I am sure of it. There are 2 rules of thumb that I use when it comes to muscle building and calories. This is kind of how I simplify it for myself. I'm a simple guy. Simple kind of man. Number 1. it may be very well possible to build muscle at maintenance calories, meaning not eating in a surplus or much of a surplus. There are studies that show this. We'll get them in the references. When I am in maintenance mode, as I often am, I am encouraged by this. I train hard, I try to put on muscle the best I can. But number two, if my primary goal is building muscle and I want the absolute best results possible, I need to be in a caloric surplus. I need to. Do I need to be eating an extra 500 calories a day like the bodybuilders of past might have told you to be gaining a pound a week? No, not necessarily. The science doesn't always support that. But you need to be providing your body with extra calories to build the muscle if you want the best results. I think it's important for this reason. People identify what do you want the most and kind of go that course. Are you 100 pounds overweight? Is your primary goal to lose fat? That's okay. You don't have to necessarily eat in a surplus. You may be able to get some body recomp going on, especially if you're new to strength training, while you're losing fat. That's a possibility. Otherwise, lose the fat first, get to a healthy body fat for you. That doesn't mean 6% or what's right for this person or that person or even me. And then after that healthy body fat, you can then start worrying about adding muscle and even be in a little bit of a surplus potentially. Are you a 90-pound string bean? You already have 7% body fat and are missing muscle gains like the desert missed the rain. Eat in a surplus. More like the dessert missed the rain. Dessert. That kid needs some ice cream on his diet, Al. Big time. Big Al's an ice cream connoisseur. Okay, cool. Get your diet right and you're going to be more than halfway there. The number two reason you're not gaining muscle. Your training stinks. You're leaving all your gains on the table. You're not training hard enough or you're not training frequently enough. My favorite exercise scientist and all around awesome, hilarious guy with those baby blue eyes when it comes to muscle gain is Dr. Mike Israetel. You already know him because he's super popular, much more popular than I. I will leave a link to his channel regardless, and I have personally learned a lot from listening to him. He's entertaining, he's inspiring to learn from. I think he's very fair and very honest as well, which I appreciate. Though we do not necessarily walk the same path, Dr. Mike and I. He is a doctor, I have a man bun. He provokes a lot of good thought, which I really, really appreciate. Thank you, Dr. Mike. So what have I learned over the years that I've applied to my training that's helped my training a lot? Well, first, training my muscles twice a week, getting away from the bro split. I did the bro split for years and I moved on basically to a push, pull, legs, push, pull, split, training 5 days a week, hitting those muscles in that way. Again, the bro split where each muscle gets a day, it simply doesn't work for me. It doesn't work as well for me. And I'm older now, training more frequently, and it's just better. The only muscles I train once a week are my legs, my quads and my hamstrings, that is. They need longer to recover. This may not be true for you, but it's true for me. My chest, my back, my shoulders, my abs, my calves, all that I hit at least twice a week. I want to make sure I'm training my muscles frequently enough that there's enough stimulus for growth. Secondly, full range of motion. This is a big Dr. Mike one. Full reps, and within those reps, I always try and get the deepest stretch possible. Full ROM for life. Next, the eccentric or the lowering phase of the weight, I slow down as much as possible. Then I explode with the concentric. So if I'm doing a curl or a press, the lowering of the curl is taking a long time and I'm really fighting the weight. And then when I get to the bottom, I boom, curl that weight up. And that has worked really good for me. Lastly, this is something I do. I enjoy changing my training style when I'm changing diet phases. Does it help everyone? Does it work for everyone? Is there science behind it? I don't know. I haven't really looked. It works for me. It's fun to change it up a little bit. I enjoy it. I'm more excited to train for the day, and that alone is worth it to me. As far as how many sets and how many reps go, I listen to my body. I see how I feel. I try to go a few reps short of failure, but I don't usually train until failure. A few sets here and there for fun, I kind of will, but definitely not every workout. I want to make sure I've got kind of enough gas in the tank for the next workout. I also want to make sure my muscles fully recover. Right now, I'm in a fat loss phase. It's going really, really well. I'm using about 10 to 15 reps for sets. My last diet phase, I was using about 6 to 8 reps per set. The number 3 reason you're not putting on muscle, you are not adequately recovering. Now, a huge part of the recovery is the nutrition we talked about earlier, for sure. Geez, man, this episode really is brought to you by caffeine. But the other part of recovery is, well, rest, or certainly not exhausting the same muscle day after day. Muscle needs time to rebuild after it's broken down. If you're training your bro muscles every day, chest and buys, bro. What? I'm not bi, straight as a razor, man. 5 days a week, chest and buys. If you train them every day, they're not able to rebuild stronger. If you leave adequate rest in between your workouts and proper nutrition, of course, as well, you are poised to make better gains. Well, how long is adequate rest? For me, if my muscle is sore or I'm too tired to train, like run down, that's my body telling me it needs to recover. If the muscle feels good and I didn't train it within the last day or so, I'm probably good to go. And speaking of being too tired to train, this ties into number 4. Your sleep sucks. Yes, this also ties into recovery if you're not getting good sleep and you're not well rested. First thing that's gonna go, or one of the first things anyway, is testosterone. And that's one of the things that helps men and women build muscle, testosterone. There was an article posted in the Journal of the American Medical Association that in young, healthy men, even when their sleep was reduced to 5 hours a night, their testosterone dropped 10 to 15% during the day. Studying the references. That can absolutely kill your muscle gains. The other part of not sleeping enough that's going to hurt your strength training is you're going to be really tired. And that's going to make it really hard to lift heavy things. Also, if you watched our inflammation episode, it can lead to all kinds of inflammation not sleeping enough, which again, that might not impact your skeletal muscle directly, but it certainly can vicariously, making training a lot harder when you feel like crap. So check out our anti-inflammation episode if you have issues with that. Boop. And there's a lot more that you can do to help the inflammation besides even sleeping well. Also, anecdotally, my wife and I are currently sleep training our 4-month-old daughter right now, and for the most part, it's going really, really well. But a few days ago, for whatever reason, we had a tough couple of nights. It happens. And let me tell you, I got those 5 hours of sleep that the study talked about. I got even more than that, but I didn't get what I usually get, what I need, and my training sucked. It really sucked. I was like a zombie in the gym. It's more coffee, it's more food, it's more time. I'm doing everything I can to counteract it. But in honesty, the only thing I can do to counteract it is to get some good sleep. Now, a couple of nights here and there, your training will suffer, but as long as you're normally sleeping well, you're likely going to be fine. I mean, I've had more than a few bad workouts over the years. It's going to happen. But if that's a daily problem for you, be it too much caffeine, too much phone time, video games at 2 a.m., whatever it is, maybe you're calling Domino's at 3 a.m. for some of that stuffed crust pizza because you can't sleep without it, that can destroy your gains. So make sure you guys are getting enough sleep if muscle building is a priority to you. Last one. The last reason you may not be gaining muscle the way you could be. How much are you putting into it? How hard are you working at it? Is it just something you kind of do day after day? It's just kind of a habit. You show up. It's an awesome habit, by the way. That's fantastic if it's part of your daily routine. But is your training kind of unenthused? You know, I'm not saying you got to be screaming like a gorilla during your sets or throwing up in between sets, but how much energy are you exerting on getting bigger or stronger? You may just have to work harder. How do I gauge my own work level? How do I know if I'm working hard enough? Well, there's a tool that I use that I can honestly say I use in every aspect of my life that absolutely applies to my training as well. I find someone who I admire, be it a physique, an actor, an artist, even a father or a husband, someone I want to be like, and I ask myself, what do I imagine they do or did to achieve that? I don't necessarily read their autobiography. I might, also a great tool, but I imagine, what do I think that would be like? What would I have to do to obtain that? And in the case of the physique, I simply try to imagine, what do they do when they wake up? What does their diet look like? What does their training look like? What time do they go to bed? Etc., etc. You can do this with anyone or anything in life. The next step is compare that with your own life. Are you doing that? Are you doing even something reasonably close to that? If you're not doing that, unfortunately, that could be your answer. Or fortunately, maybe that's unlocking the truth you needed. All right, guys, these are the biggest muscle building mistakes I see. Let me know in the comments, what do you see? What were your biggest mistakes in the gym? I want to hear from you.